Who is the best promo in the wrestling world in 2025? That is what I have sat down to figure out today, and we've done it in versus modes. This can be that guy versus that guy, and we'll go through all the way to the end. Now, because I don't want anyone to yell at me, I use artificial intelligence to come up with the names of what that thought was the best promos of the year. I mean, we may as well use that stupid technology for something, although fair play. Because the first one it threw at me was CM Punk versus MJF. And I was like, oh, damn it. This has already come back to haunt me. If you care, AI chose CM Punk based on legacy. And I think I would choose CM Punk as well. I think that's fair. Like, MJF to me is a generational talent. I think when we look back at a few years, he's not even 30 yet. And he already comes across as like one of the biggest stars of AEW. He will have a WWE one day, because you never say never in pro wrestling. And that's going to be super interesting. I think he could probably main event WrestleMania. I think he'll be a two-time AEW World Champion. He'll probably have a long run with that as well. All the Hangman Adam Page stuff, and also you want to see him talk, right? They can advertise an MJF promo segment on Dynamite or AEW, and people will go out of their way to watch it, or at least watch it on social media or find it out. And CM Punk, as I've said on many ups and downs, make sure you check that out over What Culture Wrestling, as I've said on here time and time again, is GOAT material when it comes to the microphone. Absolutely a modern day GOAT. You can't argue with that, but I think it stretches out further. I think it goes back years and years. I mean, who's the best talker ever? Some people say The Rock, some people say Steve Austin. You could throw Roddy Piper in there. Like, there are so many dudes that are going to come up that people will mention, like Ric Flair, for example. Often people go to Ric Flair. One of the reasons he gets on so many Mount Rushmores is because he did the work in the ring, and he was able to do it out the ring as well. I would put CM Punk in that category. I really will. I don't think you can do the 2011 pipe bomb unless you have that talent. And sometimes he kind of did it on Monday as well. He cut what most people call a generic promo, but because he understands how to speak into the damn thing, it takes on a life of its own. And actually, I don't know if it was a WWE Unreal thing or just a story that CM Punk told on a podcast. When he did come back, somebody handed him a script and he was kind of reading over it. And Triple H just went, nope, you're CM Punk, you don't read a script. Now, I'm sure there is some hyperbole and some exaggeration to that, but I think you wouldn't be able to get away with that with anyone, right? There'd be some people you told that story like, well, that's clearly a lie from top to bottom. The whole point here is Triple H telling you that CM Punk is one of the best in the world. So I am going to put CM Punk through. Massively unfair to MJF, but good work, AI, on straight out the gates making me go, well, this was the opposite of what was meant to happen. And it carried on as well because it gave me Cody Rhodes versus LA Knight. And I was like, that's a really, really good one. Because LA Knight has kind of taken some barbs for being Stone Cold Steve Austin The Rock rolled into one, which I never understood because he makes his own. And if you are going to base your promo skills on anyone, pick Steve Austin and The Rock. It's a good way to go. And Cody Rhodes is interesting because I think Cody Rhodes has become somewhat divisive now, only with the crazies on the internet where we have to yell and argue about everything. I think we're called nerds. You know what I mean? But he taps into an emotion that few people are able to do so. And while some people think he's corny and some people think he's cheesy, I think he's genuine. And when someone is genuine, you can be corny, you can be cheesy. A lot of my promos in my wrestling career, I even say, I know I'm being corny right now, but I'm confident saying it because even though some people may be like, oh man, what a pile of baloney, because I mean it down in my tum-tum, there's a word that I use for the same reason, I'm happy to say it because I know I believe in it. It's a bit like here, I'll only tell you about a product that I want to endorse if I actually use it. And I think that's why I would go for Cody Rhodes. This one is super close as well. I mean, LA Knight has turned himself into a megastar, as he would say. And you look forward to seeing what he is going to say on the microphone because he'll insult you. He's got a cadence. He's got momentum. It's hard to throw him off his game, right? But Cody Rhodes, again, he's just cut so many of these where he cries often about his legacy or what his family has done. But I believe in him. And I always want him to do well. And I think that's why he's been able to be such a beloved babyface for so long, which we didn't have in a long ass time. Usually if you came out and you were a white meat babyface, to use the wrestling terms, people would boo you. They didn't want this in their lives. Like, no, you go away. So LA Knight is a super close second. We're talking minuscule here. But I got to put Cody Rhodes through. We then got Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns, which I was like, man, you just know what these feuds are going to be. I think Seth Rollins is an underrated promo, mostly because he goes a lot. And people like to throw odd barbs at Seth. And Roman Reigns' is first, 6 years in WWE, maybe not that long, wasn't great promos because the verbiage he given was terrible. I mean, suffering succotash, and that promo John Cena was like, man, you can't come after me, John. And John Cena just snapped him in two. I just realized John Cena is not on this list at all. all. What a stupid list. That's absolutely ridiculous. John Cena's going through to the next round. We're going to say now it's John Cena, I need to think of someone, versus Randy Orton. Randy Orton's actually quite good. John Cena's going through. I can't believe that wasn't on here. John Cena's going through. But listen, we'll keep it nice and short. I'm going to put Roman Reigns through just because I think ever since he became the tribal chief, he does have all those stupid words, aura, cinema, live show charisma. It's kind of unfair because Seth Rollins, especially that build up to WrestleMania 41, was the promo guy. And he out-promoted CM Punk and Roman Reigns to get his point across. But I don't even think this comes down to good and bad or better and worse. Roman Reigns is just very strange in the way that he cuts promos. He cuts promos only like Roman Reigns can. He talks in a voice that doesn't sound real. He talks in like a cinema voice, which kind of ties in, I guess. And he talks in an over-the-top voice, but he makes it work. I think that's massively interesting. And sometimes in the wrestling world especially, you need that uniqueness. That's what Roman does. Clearly AI is an asshole too because it gave me Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. For me, this isn't as hard as it probably should be. So I'd like to apologise to Sami Zayn, who again, wonderful babyface promo, can make you believe in him and make you feel something. But Kevin Owens, I think, is my third favourite wrestler of all time. Full stop. No, he's the modern day GOAT, number one. But also, I think it goes Bret Hart, Steve Austin, Kevin Owens. I'm 99% sure about that. Because he's just hilarious, but he can also cut a serious one. Kevin Owens, to me, you could give him a lump of cheese and say, you got to get this cheese over, and the first part has to be funny, and the second part you have to be really mad. He would figure it out. He was cutting promos on his car about Randy Orton, and they were making me laugh out loud. So, yeah, I just think Kevin Owens is the best as far as I'm concerned because wrestling is there to entertain, and he always entertains me. And even though he's not meant to make me like him when he's a heel, I'm just so into him as a character. I do anyway. But the point is this. I think if you're on the cusp with him, he can make you love him. He can make you hate him. He's like a handyman. When it comes to wrestling, he can do it all. He's like a Swiss Army knife. No matter what you want him to do, he is able to do it. And again, I think to me it comes down to entertainment. And entertainment to me may be above anything else. Because if you entertain me, I'm going to want to watch what you want to do. And a promo is there to promote the thing that you're about to do, be it a match or whatever. And therefore, Kevin Owens would always talk me into the building, which is hugely unfair on Sami Zayn. Because let's not forget that Sami Zayn whipped everybody up into such a fury a couple of years ago that fans were hoping that he would beat Roman Reigns at that Elimination Chamber before WrestleMania 39, even though in hindsight that would have been totally whack because it was in the middle of Roman Reigns' massive run. But even then, if WWE had have done it, I would have been totally cool with it because of the way that Sami Zayn conducted himself and because of the things that he was saying onto a microphone. So it's hugely unfair. As I keep saying, I'm sorry, Mr. Sam. Kevin Owens is going through. By the way, AI also picked Kevin Owens. Nope, that's a lie. I picked Sami Zayn. I'm sorry. Becky Lynch versus Bayley came up next, which I think is a bit easier. AI picked Becky Lynch, should you care. And that's just not, I don't want to say that's not Bayley's strong point, but it's not her strongest point. Like, Bayley's in-ring work and her influence on women's wrestling within WWE and the historical markers that she laid down are second to none. I don't think you get the women's revolution, evolution, whatever we're calling it, or the boom in women's wrestling without Bayley. Sasha Banks' Mercedes Moné is in there too, and she shouldn't be forgotten about that, and I think it's why sometimes she is in this awkward place where WWE doesn't really put her on that pedestal, but they probably should. Whereas Becky Lynch is absolutely there, and that's because in 2018 she became the man, and she found her voice, really. Like, ever since then, I'm sure Becky Lynch has cut a bad promo, but they are few and far between. And when she cuts her best promos, oh, man. And even if you're on the fence, and I could be wrong here, I think the heel run she's currently on as the Intercontinental Champion has raised her game even higher because the heel character when she came back a few years ago under Vince McMahon's watch was still in that weird 50-50 position where fans didn't really want to boo her, they wanted to cheer her. Now everyone's on board booing her, so she's sort of allowed to lean that way a little bit further. I just think she's great. Like, there was that one promo she did on Raw. I can't remember what she said now, but something along the lines of, people are saying this thing, they're saying this thing. And the way she delivered it was telling you, no, I'm saying this, and it'd be great if you want to jump on board as well. She can be swami, she can be funny, she can be confident, she can be aggressive, she'd just be able to do everything, Becky Lynch. And yeah, I think she's an all-timer these days. Let's not forget, from like 2018 to 2019, maybe 2020, was the star of WWE, not the woman's star. She was more ratings, more views, more everything, which is why she was in the main event at WrestleMania 35. She was totally smashing it. So you cannot ignore Bayley's contributions. Way too important. But as we are talking about people with a microphone, got to give it to Becky Lynch. Paul Heymon versus Don Callus was next. So I was like, is this AI made by wrestling wrestling fans. But it's an interesting conversation because Don Callus is great. Like, Don Callus is underrated in many ways, but that man knows how to get heat. That man knows how to talk. You see him on commentary most week, be it on Dynamite or Collision, and he is throwing out barbs and he is throwing out zingers. But of course, hence why it did this, his counterpoint is Paul Heymon, who can do exactly the same. So some people, given the week that we're in, saying they didn't like the Paul Heyman-Jey Uso interaction from Raw, thought it was fine. It wasn't Heyman's best work, but I didn't think it was a disaster like some people thought. And then it's when it hit me when I started doing this list. It's because everybody has Heymon up here, and they expect every time he's going to come to the ring, he's going to hit home runs, he's going to smash it out the park, he's going to change your life, which is why both me and AI pick Paul Heymon. And I think for me, it's because we have to go back in time. I remember the promo he cut on Vince McMahon about ECW. That was amazing. Some of the stuff he did with Brock Lesnar, you're just like, holy crap, man, you are carrying this entire act when Brock isn't there. He then went on to do the same thing with Roman Reigns, obviously did all that stuff with CM Punk. The Seth Rollins stuff maybe hasn't hit the highs of the rest of them, but his gravitas has helped sort of cement that group. He is an all-time talker, and it's because he totally understands wrestling and he understands the little things. Like, I know it doesn't really tie into his promo game, but if he knows he's meant to be stressed in character, he'll let his beard go a bit grey, he'll grow out his hair, he'll look a bit muffled, and things like that. And that's when you know you're dealing with somebody that is just thinking about it a little bit higher. It's not like breaking the mold. It's not like, oh my gosh, how did he come up with that? It's simple stuff, but to have the idea and then execute it, I think, is what puts him ahead. So I am going to put Paul Heyman through. And I think he's one of the best managers ever. I think that's fair to say, right? Especially because he's been doing it so long. I mean, go back to when Brock Lesnar first broke in. I'm not sure he gets to, even with all his athletic gifts, without what Paul Heyman did, because the two just absolutely needed each other. But I don't want to crap on Don Callis either. That guy is a hero. He's not. He's a proper villain, but talking-wise, hero too. Logan Paul versus The Miz was next, which made me laugh. The Miz got the nod from AI. I am going to give it to The Miz as well. I think Logan Paul's probably going to get better as the years go on, but he is still green. Or that's not right, but he's inexperienced. And listen, he doesn't come across as fake when he speaks. He sounds like Logan Paul, but I think The Miz is one of the most underrated and not mismanaged wrestlers. From a fan's point of view, though, the stuff that guy has done and his legacy and how long he's been there, and, you know, you don't get to the main event, even though WrestleMania 27 was a weird show all round, especially if you watch it now. You don't get put in that position unless you have connected with the audience in whatever fashion, and he had done it. And a lot of those promos he was doing is a huge reason why he has been given crap to do and he's made it work. He's been given good stuff to do and he's elevated to a higher level. The Miz is fantastic, and anybody would want to be in that position. I think people forget that. As soon as he goes into the Hall of Fame, which he will do, nobody should blink an eye. Whereas Logan Paul, I wouldn't call him, again, he's very, very good, given his time in the business, to use the right terms, but he doesn't have the legacy that The Miz does. And that does count in stuff like this as well. And also, if you say to me, do you want to hear a Logan Paul promo or do you want to hear a Miz promo? I'd absolutely pick The Miz. Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair came up as well, which is an interesting one because I don't think that's their, again, if you were going to rank their abilities, I don't think talking would be number one for either of them. They are in-ring heroes, the stuff they're able to do. But I think probably I would say Rhea Ripley. Sometimes it does sound like she's trying to be the Eradicator and put on that persona, which is fine. But then other times she speaks as if she's the real Rhea Ripley, which is the dumbest thing I've ever said. And this is kind of a Cody thing. It sounds like her. And I understand this is not a promo, but a lot of that comes across in the WWE Unreal series or when she's doing podcasts. And a lot of that is now filtering through into what she does do. Although Charlotte Flair has been very effective as well. Like, as a heel who is meant to be the queen and is meant to wind you up, she's done that. And of course, sometimes she has gone totally off the rails and just gone into business for herself. Again, to use the terms. I mean, in the Tiffany Stratton Charlotte build, all of it seemed to be that, which was kind of crazy, but I guess it was compelling. But I don't know, it's a really, really hard one. I think they're neck and neck, to be completely honest. I picked Rhea Ripley, not that it makes any difference to me, but I think I would pick Rhea Ripley too. I just think there's more connection there between her character and the things she is trying to say, but it's much of a muchness. You could flip a coin, to be completely honest with you. And if you came with the argument for Charlotte, I totally understand it as well. John Moxley versus Eddie Kingston then got in there. I mean, this is kind of going off piece now because, of course, Eddie Kingston has not been around in 2025, but I'm going to allow it because Eddie Kingston is one of the best promos to have come around in the last 5 years or so. John Moxley is brilliant as well. I think John Moxley's had a hard time recently because of the Death Rider stuff and people are like, oh man, it's unbelievable, can't believe it. But he did a great job, and that's the whole reason All In was so good. It's almost like he died for the cause. Don't get me wrong, the quality did suffer a little bit, but it then went right back up again. So it was like a roller coaster effect. I would put Eddie Kingston over a lot of people. Again, it really comes down to who do I want to hear a promo from, and John Moxley is right there, but Eddie Kingston would always just be a bit there more. Just because the stuff he did with CM Punk, the stuff he did with Cody Rhodes, the stuff he did with MJF, the stuff he did with Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, goes on and on and on, because, I mean, on ups and downs again on What Culture. If you've never watched it, we haven't done it for a while, we used to have a stupid gimmick called Does Eddie Kingston know it to work, and it was a machine that you'd ask and it would always spit out no. He has no idea it to work because he just embraces everything to such a wonderful level. So I felt a bit bad throwing Jon Moxley out this early, but you got to give it to Edward King. Jay White versus Will Ospreay also got in here, which I thought was a funny one to throw in. And again, we haven't seen Jay White a lot really recently as well because he's been injured, so I hope he is okay. I think you have to give Will Ospreay his props. Jay White was picked by the AI if you care. But Will Ospreay had a huge question mark over his head when he signed with AEW. You know, is he going to be able to do weekly promos on American TV? Yes, because he knows who he is and he speaks from here. He speaks from the heart. And sometimes he says things. What did he say? There was something he said recently. He said, yeah, the worst thing about AEW is you being the champion, Jon Moxley. But it came across like a dig at AEW. You could see in his face, like, oh, I didn't mean to say that. But he has so much passion, and again, he's so transparent. I think that's a huge, important thing for 2025. And he has cut some fire promos, especially, I mean, this is last year, before his match with MJF, and this year when he was doing all the stuff with Hangman and Swerve and the Young Bucks. Will Ospreay knows what he's doing, and he's turned himself into a megastar, not just because he's a generational talent in the ring, but because he's got everything sort of full circle too. He'd be able to fit into WWE as well. But I don't think we should forget how good Jay White is on the microphone. It's really how he made his name. Like, his wrestling was always very, very effective. It's not simple, that's the wrong word, but there was just a directness to it. Like, he just got stuff done, and the reason he was able to sort of make himself feel larger than life was with the way he conducted himself and the stuff that he would say. I mean, if you go back to some of those, it must have been G1 pre-shows or Wrestle Kingdom pre-shows where they do the big sort of press conference type interviews. Jay White would just go off, and you're like, is he actually mad? Is he actually pissed off? It's why when he comes back to AEW, I think he should be a heel because I think he embraces that way better. So I will put him through, but also I just think he's more of a promo guy than Will, and Will gets better each and every single week anyway. But I would go with Jay White. This is why sometimes that stupid AI is good for all of these things. Mercedes Benet versus Sasha Banks. That's what it came up with. I was like, is this Reddit? Has Reddit thrown this in? Mercedes Benet is a better promo than Sasha Banks. Now, some people like to get on her for her promo skills. I think the last 6 months, talking about 2025, she's just got better and better and better. She has removed all the WWE verbiage from her brain, which I totally understand why she did have. She was there for 15 years. Probably not that long, 10 years, whatever the flub it was. But now she very much comes across as her real self with sort of a chip on her shoulder and an arrogance. And yes, I just think if you kind of watched her promos now, and some people still don't like them, which is totally fine, and you compared them to the ones in the past, as you would imagine, she has just got better. And I think she does have more freedom in AEW, and she's lent into that as well, and it's just benefited her all round. But fair play, weird 2025 technology. It was quite a good one, but I'm giving it to Mercedes. Bron Breakker versus Austin Theory was totally nuts, but I thought, you know what, I probably wouldn't have thought of that by myself. I would give it to Bron Breakker, and this is mostly a what you see and what you get deal, because he looks like he could absolutely murder you, and then he screams at Sami Zayn in a high-pitched voice and says he doesn't like him and he's an idiot, and you need to leave forever. He did the same thing with Roman Reigns, when he was like, man, I own this ring, and I own you, and I own that cameraman. Bron Breakker is great, and I'm so happy he was a mute for a while, right? When he joined Seth Rollins' group, and then when we did give him the microphone, we weren't like, oh man, you got to be all stoic and serious. Like, no, just do that stuff you were doing in like the Wolf Dogs with Baron Corbin, and we should do more of that. It's a Kurt Angle situation. If you're that good and that scary in the ring, you can be as entertaining and stupid as you want outside of the ring, and people are still going to buy you. Austin Theory was that guy, totally lost in 2025, and I hope he does find his feet again, because something weird seems to be going on here, but I'm giving the nod to Bron. And the first round ends with Samoa Joe versus Bryan Danielson, which another one, I was like, how did you come up with this? Especially because Bryan Danielson has been out of it for this year, although he does come back a couple of times. But we went with Samoa Joe in terms of AI, and I would go for Samoa Joe as well. I think it's massively unfair. I would throw AJ Styles into this conversation. There was a period when AJ and Bryan were just running wild over the indies and TNA for AJ. And it was like, oh man, they can't put him in there and make it in WWE. And then went to WWE and cut totally fine WWE promos, and absolutely were able to improve and get better and better. Some of the promos Bryan Danielson has cut in AEW is incredible. The one when we were in Wales for Dynamite, and he shouted, I'm the effing best wrestler in the world. I was like, yes, I'll do anything for you, Daniel Bryan. Or Bryan, what's I call him that for? Bryan Danielson. But Samoa Joe has been doing this since TNA, right? We talk about AJ Styles, who you saw improving as promos. Samoa Joe just walked in that door, the most terrifying and intimidating dude ever, and just spoke like, even when he was wearing his amazing Hawaiian shorts, just spoke like a man that was going to break you in two. You're like, oh my gosh, I think he's actually going to do it. We have to be scared. I would call Samoa Joe an underrated talent because people do not praise him enough. I kind of get why you would pick either of these. If you care AI, I think I told this already, pick Samoa Joe. I would pick Samoa Joe as well. But again, you don't get called one of the best wrestlers ever if you have a massive hole in your game, and lots of people do say that about Bryan Danielson. But he can just spit fire, Samoa Joe, right? And he can crumple somebody in a few words because he is such an insane person, the best possible way. Joe's going through. That means we now go to CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes, which actually is probably going to be the main event of WrestleMania 42 as far as I'm concerned. We don't need to go through their plaudits again because we've done that. I'm giving it to CM Punk. I think I kind of went over why in the last video. It wouldn't be surprised if CM Punk goes very far in this, because no matter what you think about the guy, he can talk on a microphone. Even his best feuds in AEW, a lot of it was to do with this. He's pretty flipping good at it. Right, given the switcheroo I made in round 1, it now means it's Roman Reigns versus John Cena. I've got them all written up there so I do not forget. I think you got to give it to John Cena. Like, John Cena's fine speech. John Cena became the star that he was due to character and due to his promos. I don't think his in-ring work was as bad as some people made out, but some people, I mean, you can't wrestle chance, right? You don't main event as many shows as he did without understanding how to connect with the audience and how to take them up and how to take them down. But there were so many times. I mean, all the stuff with The Rock that we did, we mentioned that Roman Reigns promo, which was like, oh my gosh, he just killed him. The CM Punk and John Cena stuff, sort of, that had huge legacy to it. And he's still doing that now as a heel. I mean, if you watch any of my videos, you know that I like John Cena as a heel. Not as good as a babyface John Cena, but I think it sort of cemented me that he is in the GOAT conversation. And he's always done this, right? Maybe not as the prototype. Actually, the prototype was so good too. But he had the thugonomic stuff as well, and then he transitioned to being more of sort of the goody-goody two-shoes. Roman just had a few years. It wasn't even his fault, but he's put in the stupidest position ever. But I also think John Cena, especially in terms of modern guys, is absolutely one of the best. You got to give him the nod. Which leads us to Kevin Owens versus Becky Lynch, which actually is quite tight. But you heard me gush about Kevin Owens in the first segment, so I am going to put Kevin Owens through. But Becky Lynch could hold her own with Kevin Owens. If they did a promo segment for some reason, I actually think we'd be talking about it for a long old time. Paul Heyman versus The Miz is actually, now I've said that, quite harder than I would think. But I have to give it to Paul Heyman just because some of those classic promos he did cut. I mentioned the one he did do on Vince McMahon, where he said to Vince before they went out, do you want me to tell you anything I'm going to say? And Vince McMahon was like, just make me money, pal. And he went out there and cut a promo that must have been sort of 2002-ish, maybe 2001, that not many people cut on Vince McMahon. He's going through, and if you watch that today, YouTube it, you see where I'm coming from. Rhea Ripley versus Eddie Kingston is the most hilarious lineup ever. Of course, I would give it to Eddie Kingston, given what I did say in round 1. And Jay White versus Mercedes Benet, I'm also going to put Jay White through as well. He's just more of a promo guy than Mercedes. You could argue that Mercedes is a better in-ring worker. I'm going to leave that up to you in the comments. But when it comes to a microphone, Jay White's just done more. Which means it's Bron Breakker versus Samoa Joe, which I actually love as a contest because they're very similar in the way they approach wrestling. Samoa Joe is going through to the next round because they basically love him. It also means we now have CM Punk versus John Cena, which, all things considered, is a forever feud. I think CM Punk even said that he'd like to fight him forever and ever. I don't know what to do with this because they are neck and neck as far as I'm concerned. I mean, John Cena is responsible for some of the most important promos of the last 20 years. So is CM Punk. Honestly, this is the problem with brackets when you just go into the next part of your recording without thinking about things. You stare off into the distance. Please use this moment to go in there and tell me CM Punk or John Cena, or you can wait until the end. I think... Oh, man, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'm going to give it to CM Punk, I think, just because of the amount of times he has been in a worse position than John Cena, because obviously he had to really fight for everything he got in WWE, and he would cut a promo even when the odds were against him, and you're like, that's your guy. Now, WWE never really made him the guy until he came back round 2. They turned up in AEW, did it again then. But, man, that's being really unkind to John Cena, who really has made feuds out of nothing as well. So CM Punk wins by like 0.1%, but they really are two of the best to do it right now. Kevin Owens versus Paul Heyman is the next one. If you're saying Paul Heyman, you may be right, but I can't go against my boy Kevin, so he's going through. Which leads us with Eddie Kingston, Jay White, and Samoa Joe, who I will throw into a 3-way, and the final can be a 3-way as well, because wrestling loves triple threat matches. I'm just looking at their names now. I don't think Jay White wins that war. I think it's between Eddie Kingston and Samoa Joe. I think I'd probably give it to Eddie Kingston, which surprises me. We're talking about fine margins here again. I mean, there's so many times, like when he talked about almost selling his boots when he first joined at AEW, just like, man, where the hell did that come from? Whereas Samoa Joe has always been more of a destroyer. However, nobody can talk more like a destroyer than Samoa Joe. He's like Galactus in many ways. But maybe just because I miss Eddie Kingston, although I miss Samoa Joe too, he hasn't been on TV that much this year, I'm going to put Eddie Kingston through. Which means I feel like I've forgotten somebody, which I probably have, and you should get mad at me for doing this. I think I've screwed up my brackets over there, like an AEW tag team tournament. I should have said that. I take it back. Forgive me. CM Punk, Kevin Owens, and Eddie Kingston in my triple threat final. Well, you know what I'm going to say. I'm going to give it to Kevin Owens because he's my favorite. And I don't necessarily think he is the best promo guy from a I think CM Punk could probably sell more tickets by talking you into a building, but Kevin Owens is always going to entertain me more. I mean, he made the Ezekiel Elias thing hilarious. Was it Ezekiel or Elijah? I can't remember. No, Elijah was his name on the Indies. That's right. He made that entertaining. He can do anything, Kevin Owens, as far as I'm concerned, and he could be out now for a good old year, so I'm going to give the nod to him. However, I also suppose I only asked AI for the first round just because I wanted to get it. I guess we should ask who he would pick, or that would pick, or it would pick, or she would pick. I have no idea. It's stupid. So AI gave me sass. It said, well, if I had to choose, I was like, all right, AI. It picked CM Punk. And the main reason it picked CM Punk was legacy alone. AI is stupid, but at least it added some gimmicks and some originality to this list. Now, look, if I screwed this up, why do you watch this channel? That's why you watch this channel, because it's a disaster, but I still stand by it. Drop me a comment down there. Who do you think the best promo in 2025 is? You can pick other people as well, should you want, because it's not like the Magna Carta, is it? Whatever that means. Let's just have some fun. Like the video, share it, and subscribe to the video on the screen, which is me talking about some sort of wrestling or not. Otherwise, it's patreon.com/Simon316, $5 for watch-alongs, that kind of nonsense. We're going to watch some of my wrestling matches this week, so you can laugh at me. Grillermind.com/Simon. You go to Simon, get 10% off. Simon316 on social media. Simon Miller on personalized videos, Cameo. Simon J. Miller on TikTok for wrestling songs, and Big Cartel and Pro Wrestling tees, and my name for merchandise. If I screwed that up, I'm sorry, but hopefully it was fun and engaged in debate. Drop me that comment down there, and I will talk to you soon.